Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our public outreach campaign for May 6, 2021. Today, we'll be talking about the project milestones and challenges along the way. Just some housekeeping rules before we go forward. We are recording the meeting today, as it's also being streamed on our Facebook media. So those who did not want to join on Zoom, we're very happy that you were able to join us on Facebook. Those who are on Zoom, please mute your mics so there's no disturbance. And if you have any questions, please do that at the end of the presentation. Before I can even go further, I need to really say a thank you to my team tonight. They're going to be monitoring on Zoom. They'll be monitoring on Facebook. And I believe there's also someone monitoring on the YouTube stream. There are some in the office here with me, some are at home, but I really need to thank them for the work that they're doing to make this possible tonight. So what are we doing here? We are giving you all the opportunity for us to engage with you as stakeholders. This is our opportunity to give you update on what's going on with the project, give you updates on the progress, the background of what all happened. And the more information you have, we expect you to become ambassadors for the project. You'll be able to give persons a lot more information than you had before because we are going to be given all the information that we have and sharing it with you. Tonight's topic is just to give you some of the accomplishments that we have been able to do since the passing of Irma in 2017. We have carried out a lot of sessions, a lot of public outreach campaigns. This is not the first time. We're now doing it virtually because we have learned a little bit more of the technology. And we know it's a lot easier to reach more of you virtually at this time in the evening. What is displayed here is some of the sessions that we had in different locations where we brought the staff, the airlines, many of the media sessions, the community centers, the tourist office. We brought them all up to speed with what's going on with the project. But today, let me give you a little bit more information on what happened post-Irma to the recovery back in 2018. And then from there, I'll give you more from 2019 up to where we are right now. So what happened? September 7, 2017 was when it all started. The effects of Irma was devastating. Category 5 hurricane that came through St. Maarten and it damaged our airport. As you can see, all the roof was here damaged. The debris from all in the parking lot. Our main terminal doors were all blown in. Check-in hall was a mess. Counters, scales, everything got damaged. We had scales, as you can see, full of mold. All our screening machines, e-gates, kiosks, everything got compromised with all of the water that came down into the terminal and devastated the terminal. We also had a lot of damages on the outside. But 80% of the perimeter fence was compromised. You can see along the Maho area, we even had a boat that tried to enter onto the runway. Our radar tower was also compromised. As you can see, the doors of the radar, they were all blown in. The consoles were all messed up. And what we had was a lot of areas within the terminal where water got in and it compromised the equipment up there. And since this is a radar tower, it was not possible for us to be using that equipment, knowing that it had salt water that got on it, and expect to have a reliable equipment at that point. Right after Irma passed, on the 19th of September, we had Hurricane Maria. That was also a Category 5, even though it did not pass right over the island, it brought a lot of water and rain. And this is the effects of all of that dampness inside of that humid terminal. All our furniture were compromised. Even the walls were waterlogged and eventually mold seeped in. These are partition walls for all of the airline offices, the airport offices. All of these were compromised not too long after Irma passed. What we found in there was a lot of nasty bacteria, Stachy, E. coli, black mold, white mold, hazardous stuff that you just don't want to get into your system. But we needed to move forward. So we devised a plan using the airline, our concessionaires, our staff, Menzies, they all got together and we reopened flights. We opened flights on the 16th of October, about a month after the passing of Irma, by using open tents in the parking lot where we would normally have our sea gates entrance. We moved counters that we could find in the terminal outside. We created a makeshift check-in area where we normally would be able to process the bags on the outside. We turned that into a check-in hall as well as a departure lounge with security, screening machines, as well as immigration on the way out. On the opposite end of the terminal, down at our fixed base operation, we also put in a large tent to accommodate the arriving passengers, and persons needed to go through our small FBO, which also housed immigration and customs on the way. Night flights, even though we had lost all of our runway lights, our PAPIs, our wind cones, we were able to have those installed and operational by the 11th of November. But that commercial location that we were just talking about was getting too small. So in December, we started working on some pavilions. The pavilions were actually larger tents. This one is sitting on a 4 parking spot. This is where we normally would park an aircraft. This became our departure pavilion. On the outside, in the back, where we had our makeshift check-in area, that became the the arrival of the other pavilion. And as you can see, that also was, it was more comfortable. We had air conditioning, we had food stores, we had concessions, we had a lot more space, but that also was a bit small for the operation as it was going forward. So we needed to get back into the terminal. So in March 2018, we started looking at the roof repairs, where we rust-proofed the roof, we removed all the debris, we installed some metal sheetings and PVC membranes, which actually waterproof the ceiling at that point. So the roof was at that point completed and we were able to start doing some work inside. The roof repair actually continued up to September 2019, where we installed Omega profiles, installations. We also made the roof a bit stronger by putting in sheeting up to 185 miles per hour. We put in the bull noses as well as the suffix. So by September 2019, the roof repair was completed. While all of that was happening, the airport was still discussing with Nagico on how we were going to be able to get some funding for the damages that we had incurred. But that was not going as planned. So by May 2018, we went into arbitration. But work needed to continue. To get into the building with the roof now watertight, we started the demolition of the interior. We needed to remove a lot of those sheetrocks that was waterlogged. We started the remediation back in August. And P1, which is package 1, this is the temporary situation we're in right now. That was started. And by December 2018, we were able to move into package 1. Package 1 is actually the ground floor of the terminal building, where we reverse the flow of passengers. What normally used to be our meet and greet and food court became our check-in area, where the processes, if anyone who has been to the airport can see, go into screening, into immigration, and then you're into the departure hall. But by 2019, we needed to do an extension called package 1A, where we actually converted a baggage carousel into a waiting room to be able to get more seating in the terminal. This was done a year after we had moved into package 1. So that takes us to the end of 2018, going into 2019. A lot of work, the recovery of us moving into an operational airport, getting flights in, and being able to accommodate passengers to and from St. Maarten. In a smaller space because the entire terminal was not functioning. We also were in arbitration, so we also had no monies. So at this point, as you can see, all of this work was done out of the coffers of the airport, and we were very, very low on cash. Passenger counts was low, as well as a lot of construction being carried out. So by 2019, when the new CEO came in, we needed to get an emergency loan, which helped us pay for staff salaries in January. And we eventually got a $15 million bridge loan in March. This all was facilitated by the former government at the time. By taking this loan, we also indicated that we will be taking the loan from the trust fund, which was done to the government of St. Maarten. This was a loan from EIB, as well as a grant from the government of St. Maarten via the trust fund. And if anyone wants to get more information on how that trust fund was put together, there's another video that I would love for you to go onto our channel and take a look at, where we explain exactly how the funding was completed. So, as I mentioned, bridge loan, 50 million in March, which brought to us the use of the World Bank. Now the World Bank, for us to go through their process, there's actually a project cycle that needed to be followed. This is the identification stage, the preparation stage, the appraisal stage, negotiation stage, and at that point is where stuff starts to be implemented and completed. So for us to get up to the negotiation and board approval stage, where we could actually get the signatures, a lot of work needed to be done. The airport was very busy because the World Bank process is new to us. There was a big learning curve because we had always done private tenders. Now we were going over to a public tender where the whole process and scenario was a bit different. We needed to have a couple of documents put in place. 7 documents as was listed here. We did the ESMP, which is the Environmental Social Management Plan. This is actually a template that the contractor needs to put together that explains how he's going to take care of all the environmental and social issues during the project. The airport needed to also put together an ESCP, which is an Environmental Social Commitment Plan, where we committed to ensure safeguards will be in place to deal with all the environmental issues, the social issues, and that we will be also guarding that the contractor does the same. We needed to put a whole program for the SAP, which is the Stakeholders Engagement Plan, which explains how we want to make sure that everybody who is a stakeholder at the airport, we're talking about airlines, staff, government, tourism, even you as a general public, how we were going to be able to bring information across to you to keep you updated on the progress as it goes. We also needed to create something called a POM, a Project Operational Manual. This is the playbook. This is step by step what we need to do to ensure that we keep the World Bank, the EIB, in line with what we are doing. This is our playbook or the Bible that they wanted us to work from. A labor management plan on how labor was going to be addressed, a financial plan on exactly how we're going to spend the money. This here states exactly how the accounts needed to be set up, how the monies needed to be transferred from one area to the other, and also something called a PPSD, a project plan strategic document, where we now indicated all of the activities that we're planning to do with the project, all we needed to purchase, how we're going to purchase it, what it was going to cost. So quite a bit of work needed to be done before we can get to the effectiveness date. With all the work we were doing, we were also waiting for the finalization of the World Bank. But there was some issues along the way. It was not as smooth as we thought it was going to be. We had the designer at one point, we had no monies, but when the bridge loan came in, we were able to pay the designer for them to restart. Even though we had won the insurance claim with Nagico at a tune of $72 million in August, we were still not able to use any of that money because everything went to the bondholders who actually we had an indenture with back in 2012. As I mentioned, the loan that we received was actually a loan from the government of St. Maarten. And while the government was working out that loan for us to be able to utilize it, there was a change in government. September, the government fall, and March 2020 is how long it took for us to have the election and have the new government in place before we can actually get the release of the funds for the effectiveness date. While all of this was happening, COVID came in, which made it even more challenging. When COVID came in, there was no way for us to now work with our designer, who started back in February, the way we were working before. We needed to do everything virtually. That came with its own challenges. We all know now we have to learn how to use internet to be able to share documents. We had internet issues, and people were now in different time zones. So it was always difficult sometimes to schedule a good meeting. So those challenges also needed to be overcome. But we made it by the April 2020 with the effectiveness date for the release of the funds. With that, we were able now to finalize our staff because we needed its staff to be able to support the project going forward. We're able to bring in the social safeguards person in April, a procurement officer in June, a financial officer in July, and some project coordinators in August, and one also joined in January. This team was very important to support the project manager, the project director, and the secretary who was there from January. With that team on board, we were able to now start getting some of the projects moving because now we had the funding in place, we had the team almost in place, so we were able to now go out for bids and tender for the supervising engineer, the mold remediation in July, and the waste disposal. But remember, we're talking about January, we're talking about 2020. All of this was done during the heart of COVID. So none of those contractors were able to come to St. Maarten to walk the premises and see what was going on. Everything needed to be done virtually. To keep the project moving and to ensure that we did not have as many delays, we actually went and we bought something called Matterport cameras, which is cameras that can do 360-degree pictures. We walked the terminal. We took pictures. I think it was like 3,000 pictures, 360 degrees. All of these pictures were then meshed together, put into a link so that all the contractors, the supervising engineer, the mold remediation contractors, the waste disposal contractor, all of them at that point would be able to use those links and virtually walk through the terminal and be able to see all of the aspects of the work that we needed them to carry out. So in June, we started with the supervising engineer. By September 2020, we had awarded that contract. The supervising engineer right now is Roy Haskoning, and they will be assisting us with the evaluation of the bids, as well as they will be walking and supervising the construction when it starts. The mold remediation went up in July, waste disposal in August, and by November, we were able to award that contract to actually one contractor who had bidded on both of them. We were able to combine it and save some time for that contractor to be able to work on the project. While all of this was happening, we also sent out the bids for package 2. Package 2 is actually the reconstruction of the terminal building that was sent out on the 26th of October 2020. That's the main package of the reconstruction that was sent out. The closing date for that was March 2021. So just to let you know all of the work that was done throughout that whole period, I wanted to justify and let you guys see there's quite a number of accomplishments that the airport was able to carry out, but these are not stuff that was visible, and it may have looked like nothing was happening, but we were extremely busy. So where are we right now? I just mentioned October 2020, we sent out the bids. We did an invitation to bid back in November 2020. This was done virtually again. All the contractors were able to log on and ask their questions on how we were going to be able to submit the bids. We have received the bids. The intention is for us to be able to award in July, mobilize in August, and by Q2 of 2023, we expect the project to be completed. Just to let you know how difficult just the bidding process was. We sent out the bids in October 2020. By November, we started to receive questions. The whole process, we received close to 290 questions with the intention of having the bids closing done on January 12, 2021. But as the questions came in and we got closer to the bid closing date of January 12, 2021, we realized that there was a lot more information that the contractors needed. They were having some issues with their suppliers because it was in COVID again. The suppliers were not responding quick enough. We were also very close to the Christmas period, and couriers were giving problems on getting the package to us. So in December, we sent out an amendment where we now extended the bid closing date from the 12th of January to the 9th of February. When we did that, we also changed the way we wanted the bids to come in. Instead of the bidders sending in their bids in sealed envelopes by courier or even flying it in themselves, they now had the opportunity to send it in digitally via email, encrypted, with a password being sent to a accountant that we were working with, which allowed us to now keep the encrypted bids away from the password, so that on the day of the closing, we would be able to put both of them together and open the bids. So the 9th of February became our bid closing date. But as you can see, the questions were coming in. And eventually we saw that there were some corrections that needed to be done in the RFB, the request for bids. There was more information that we needed to provide the bidders for them to be able to finalize their bid. So we made a second amendment, which pushed it back to the 23rd of March, 2021. By doing that, we gave the contractors now sufficient time to incorporate all our answers in the request for clarifications into their bid, which all came in on the 23rd of March, 2021. Now that we have those bids in, we're still going through a process. Today we're in May. We expect to have those documents, the evaluation report, we expect to have that to the World Bank by the 17th of May, 2021. When I say to the World Bank, this as a World Bank project, they need to check everything that we do along the way. So before we can move forward with any process, we need to make sure that the World Bank is also reviewing what we're doing to ensure that we do not make any mistakes along the way. If you're hearing some noise in the back, that's we're still at the airport. Even though it's at night, we're still active. Once we send the evaluation report to the World Bank, they have some time they need to review it and give us what is considered a no objection before we can indicate who we plan to award the contract to. Once we figure out who we want to award it to, we still need to give another 10 to 15 days as a standstill period, where those bidders who were not selected, we need to ensure that we give them the opportunity for them to now file a complaint if needed. We need to also ensure that we resolve that complaint before we can go forward with contracting the project. If all goes well, which we believe that our evaluation will have enough justification in it, that we should not have a long standstill period, we will be able to award in July, the end of July, and have the contractors sign at the end of, 1st of July, we want to be able to award the contract, sign by the end of July, and have the contractor start his mobilization by August of 2021, which is in the next 4 months. So as you all who are checking and monitoring what we were doing, we received 4 bids. These has been posted on our website. The 4 bids, as you can see, they range from 75 million up to close to 100 million. And all of this is only for package 2. Package 2 is really the reconstruction. That's the main works, where we're going to be changing our escalators. We're going to be installing new escalators at the bridges, new elevators, terrazzo flooring, and we're going to be modifying the way how people move through the terminal. We also have 7 more equipment packages, which is the passing board and bridges, the baggage handling system, security screening machines, self-service bag drop, the digital signage, whole room seating, and furniture, fixtures, and appliances. All of these also need to be procured, and those will be coming out shortly. So just to let you know, we have been busy the last 4 years. To summarize what all we were able to accomplish, we were able to make the airport operational by the end of 2018. We moved into the terminal. Even though it was partially, we are back in the terminal. We are allowing passengers to go safely in and out of the island. In 2019, we were able to secure the funding for the reconstruction. By the end of November, we had awarded 4 contracts. Right now, we're now working on the most important one, which is package 2, the reconstruction contract, which is almost completed. By August of this year, we expect to start that. I'm hoping that this information kind of shed some light on a lot of the challenges that we had along the way, but also the many accomplishments that the airport was able to carry out throughout the long 4 years as we were working to get where we are right now. At this point, I would ask any of you who are on Zoom, any of you who are on Facebook, if you have any ideas, questions, or concerns, you can go ahead and post them in the chat. Or those who are on Zoom can unmute your mic, and we will try our best to respond to any of the questions that you may have. I see on Facebook, there was one question. The carousels, are they going to be purchased too? And what is the cost of the carousels? The carousels, which is, I believe, I'm not sure which carousel they're talking about, but I know there's 2 carousels that I've been hearing about. One is the carousels that is for baggage, which is in the makeup area. That is part of package 2. And I know one of the questions was the carousel that we received from the ice cream place, the carousel. The airport got it for a symbolic $1, and it's here stored, and we're looking to see how we can utilize it within our design, or if we can donate it to some other location. But no, it was not a significant purchase, but it was a significant donation from the carousel to the airport. Is there any other questions that on Facebook, Zoom? Just to give, we are still doing a lot of social media posts. Many of you have been following our corporate communication specialist, Ms. Audrey Jack St. Louis Jack, I always get it reversed. She's been posting a lot accomplishment that the airport has been doing on our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram. And internally, we also use something called Yama. For those who want to find out a little bit more about the other projects, we're also going to be updating our website. If you go to sxmairport.com on the construction site, you will be able to read a lot of documents that we have over there that has already showed what we have been able to do for the World Bank over the last couple of months. We produce 3 quarterly reports, and you can always go on there to read up as we update it. We have another Facebook question. When will the offices for the handling companies be relocated into the terminal building? Very good question. That was something we wanted to start a while back. But because of the mold that we had in the terminal, we needed to ensure that that area was clean and safe for us to start the construction. Now that the more remediation contractor has finalized the cleaning of that location, our project planning and system control department has already reached out to contractors for them to be able to do the construction. Based on the last information I had from them, the contract was already awarded, and they expect the first area to be completed by, I think it was June. The first week of June, they should be able to be handing over the locations. I'm not sure if there's any more questions. Okay, I'm looking at my team working in the background. Again, I'm so happy to have these people. I've got them here way at night, out of their bed, assisting. What is the financial impact loss caused by the ongoing delay in completing package 2, having our tourism product in the hub function? In financial impact, there's different impacts, of course, for those outside of the airport as our stakeholders, but also for the airport. Because we have limited space in the terminal, we are not able to get a lot of the non-aeronautical revenues that we would normally be able to get. We have a lot of construction still happening. We cannot have as much passengers coming through as we would like to happen. So yes, I cannot give you a number, but I know our numbers are way below, especially with COVID. COVID also impacted us dramatically last year, 2020. We had 4 months without any flights. And I remember the last discussion we had back in December, we were at 15% flights. And I believe right now we are around 45% of flight capacity, traffic movement. So yes, there has been a significant impact on the tourism on the island. Because of COVID, reconstruction was not impacted. I'm looking at my team to see if there's any more questions on any of the other medias. I guess the information was clear. Oh, one more just came in. Okay, person is typing. Where does the US pre-clearance fit into the current vision for the reconstruction plan? Has any advancement been made? Very good question. Pre-clearance is not part of this reconstruction plan. We separated it into different phases. Right now we're in package 2. Pre-clearance is going to be package 3, which is going to be the build out of the pre-clearance. And package 4 is going to be when we're going to be able to outfit it. So it's not going to be part of today's construction, but we are making elements and making strides to ensure that when we are ready to go over to pre-clearance, that we have some amenities in place. One of the things we're looking at is, for example, all of the screening machines. We're going to make sure that they are TSA compliant. TSA, which is Transportation Security Authorization Authority. With us doing pre-clearance, we need to be able to meet the US standards. So those machines will be already purchased in this particular package. Those are the advancements that we have done thus far. Another question just came in. I'm very happy with the questions that's come in. Will we ever be able to see more European carriers with European visitors visit our island? I believe we are. I know that the team has been working on getting new flights coming into the island. I know there's about 4 new carriers. If you've been checking the newspaper, we have American carriers coming in. We had Air Caribbean also return. KLM is here, Air France is here, and I'm pretty sure the tourist office and our marketing department is also looking into the European carriers to see who will be ready to come to St. Maarten. I'm looking at the team again to see if there's anything coming in. One more. Keep it coming, guys. Will there be an increase in departure fee or taxes levied on tickets for passengers? It's a very good question. Just to let you know what happened. After the hurricane, we actually went to IATA. And we had discussions with IATA on us being able to put something called a passenger improvement fee. This was done in compliance with the airlines because they all know that we needed to do the reconstruction. So what we did is we already negotiated to have that fee in the ticket. It has been there since 2018. So there will not be any other increases from now until. The intention is once the airport is constructed and everything has neutralized, for us to remove that passenger improvement fee. Good question. I'm looking at the team to see if there's anything else. So if there's no more questions, I'm looking again, going once, going twice. Great. So thank you very much for your time. I hope this update was informative. I would love for you all to join us by going to our Facebook page, because this will be streamed again. It'll be recorded and it will be available. There's also on the Facebook, you can see our logo. Our slogan right now is rebuild, recover, reinvent, forward together. And there are a couple of videos that are being shown right now on the Facebook page that lets you know what is going on, and there's going to be a lot more to come. At this point, I'd like to say again, thank you for tuning in and being here with us tonight.